They mocked the woman on the luxury yacht, then froze when a Navy destroyer saluted her. Have you ever seen someone being mocked, belittled, even laughed at, only for the truth about them to surface and leave everyone stunned into silence? This is the story of one woman, underestimated and ridiculed by those who thought they were better than her. She was mocked for being alone on a luxury yacht, treated as if she didn't belong in that world. But the moment a U.S. Navy destroyer cut through the waters and saluted her, every single one of those people froze. Stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear will give you chills. And before we dive deep into this breathtaking story, don't forget to subscribe, because we bring you powerful stories like this every week. The marina in Monaco was alive with extravagance that afternoon. The kind of place where billionaires flaunted their floating palaces, champagne glasses never ran dry, and conversations revolved around wealth, influence, and vanity. Sleek yachts lined the docks, each trying to outshine the next. On the pier, finely dressed guests smirked, whispered, and judged. Among them was a woman, Elena. She wasn't dressed in glittering gowns or diamond jewelry. She wore a simple white shirt, khaki trousers, and her hair tied back neatly. She boarded a modest yet stunning yacht, one that turned heads not for its size, but for its elegance and precision. Some scoffed quietly. Who does she think she is? Alone on a yacht like that? Others chuckled. Probably borrowed. Look at her. She doesn't fit here. But Elena ignored them. She wasn't here for their approval. She had weathered storms in her life far harsher than whispers of the arrogant. To her, the sea wasn't a stage for flaunting, it was home. She untied the ropes, powered the engines, and steered away with a steady hand, leaving behind a trail of mockery on the dock. The gossipers, however, didn't stop. From their towering decks, they shouted across the water, laughing as her yacht cut cleanly through the waves. "Hey, lady, don't get lost out there," one man yelled. Another smirked. "That boat's too much for you." Their voices carried over the marina, blending with the sound of engines and seagulls. But Elena didn't flinch. She had heard worse before, on battlefields, in briefings, in moments where every decision weighed lives. She knew exactly who she was. And soon, so would they. An hour into her voyage, something unexpected happened. On the horizon, the water churned, the sound deep and thunderous. Heads turned from the docks. Passengers leaned over rails with binoculars. Cutting through the Mediterranean waters with immense presence was a U.S. Navy destroyer, its steel body rising from the sea like a giant. Its flag snapped proudly in the wind, its radar sweeping the skies, its gray hull glistening beneath the sun. Gasps spread across the yachts. "What's the Navy doing here?" someone murmured. Others speculated an exercise? A show of force? But as the destroyer drew closer, it didn't line up with the marina. It lined up with her. Elena's yacht. The mocking voices died instantly. Confusion replaced laughter. Every eye locked onto the woman who had been the subject of scorn just minutes before. The destroyer slowed as it approached, water foaming at its bow. And then, to the disbelief of everyone watching, sailors in dress whites lined the deck in perfect formation. The destroyer's horn bellowed across the waters, a sound that made windows rattle along the shore. And then, the salute. Dozens of sailors raised their hands in unison, saluting Elena. Not the yacht, not the marina. Her. On the docks, mouths fell open. Champagne glasses slipped from fingers. The very people who had mocked her now stood frozen, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. A Navy destroyer, one of the most powerful warships on Earth, had rendered honors to a solitary woman on her private yacht. But who was she? To the crowd, she had seemed like no one. To the sailors, she was someone unforgettable. Elena Torres was a retired Navy captain. Not just any captain. She had once commanded ships in waters where threats were real, where decisions meant life or death. She had led rescue missions during storms, stared down piracy threats in dangerous regions, and coordinated international exercises where peace depended on cooperation. Her career had been long, decorated, and quietly legendary. But Elena had never boasted about it. She didn't hang medals on her walls, didn't remind people of the lives she'd touched or the sailors who still called her skipper with reverence. She had retired quietly, choosing solitude at sea over attention. To strangers at the marina, she looked like a nobody. To the destroyer's crew, she was everything. As the salute held, Elena stood on the deck of her yacht, eyes fixed on the destroyer. She raised her hand slowly, returning the gesture with sharp precision, the kind that only decades of discipline could carve. The destroyer's sailors held their salute until the last second before snapping it down in unison. The horn bellowed once more, then the ship resumed its course, slicing through the horizon with dignity. The marina was silent. Not a single word of mockery remained. Those who had laughed now whispered with wide eyes. She's Navy? Who is she, really? They don't do that for just anyone. Elena didn't stop to answer them. She didn't need to. She guided her yacht calmly back to the dock, her posture steady, her expression unreadable. The crowd parted as she stepped onto the pier. No one dared laugh now. No one dared whisper. The same people who had mocked her now avoided her gaze, their arrogance crumbling into shame. One older man finally approached, voice soft with respect. "Captain Torres?" he asked hesitantly. She nodded once. He swallowed hard, then stepped aside. The rest followed, giving her space as she walked past. That evening, as the sun set over the Mediterranean, Elena sat quietly on her yacht, watching the water glow orange and gold. She thought of her years in uniform, of the young sailors she had mentored, of the missions that had tested her soul. She didn't crave recognition, but in that moment, the salute reminded her that her legacy still lived, not in medals, not in documents, but in the respect of those who had served alongside her spirit. For the others at the marina, the lesson was unforgettable. They had mocked someone they didn't understand. They had judged a woman by her silence, her simplicity, her choice to sail alone. And they had been humbled. Because respect isn't worn like jewelry. It's earned over a lifetime of sacrifice. And that's the story, friends. A reminder that arrogance fades quickly in the face of truth, and real greatness doesn't shout. It simply stands, and the world salutes it. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of hidden heroes and moments that will take your breath away.